Good afternoon. We'll keep plugging away. This is the last quarter. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed lunch. We're very, very fortunate to have with us today the Honorable Daniel Yohannes, Chief Executive Officer of the Millennium Corporate Challenge Corporation. Mr. Yohannes has more than 30 years of experience in banking and economic development. Prior to his confirmation as the CEO of MCC, Mr. Yohannes was the president of M&R Investments, a firm specializing in financial services and the renewable energy sector. Throughout his career, he has shown a long-standing commitment to protect the environment through both his professional work and philanthropic efforts. For example, he co-founded the New Resource Bank in San Francisco to invest in green projects and environmentally sustainable business in the community. We're lucky to have him here today, not only because of his own impressive experience as a leading member of the Ethiopian American diaspora community, but also so that he can share with us the important ways in which the diaspora communities from across America can work with the Millennium Challenge Corporation to address some of the world's most pressing problems. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a total honor to introduce Daniel Yohannes.
Thank you, Chris, for your kind introduction. I'd also like to thank Secretary Clinton for getting all of us here together for the good of both your home countries and our adopted country, the United States of America. She's been a major supporter of the diaspora community and a great champion of the poor and the disadvantaged here at home and around the world. So thank you, Madam Secretary, for all you do. Like all of you, I came to the United States at an early age for better opportunity. I'm extremely grateful for the opportunities and experiences that have been provided to me here in the U.S. Ladies and gentlemen, it's only possible in America. And we all should be grateful for all of our achievements in our new adopted country. After all, America is a land of immigrants, hope, and prosperity. Diaspora communities are not only valued members of our adopted country, but critical for making the world more stable, secure, and prosperous. As you know, Americans have always been generous and responsive to crises around the world. Our government has spent billions and billions of dollars in the past building nations, strengthening economies of our partner countries, and assisting those in need. Of course, it is the good and the right thing to do, but it's also in our national interest to do, from an economic perspective as well as security perspective. Our prosperity and security at home is tied to global security and prosperity. So we have a lot of vested interest. America and its partners have done a lot in terms of reducing poverty around the world. Yet, we still have a lot of work to do, as I'm reminded on a daily basis by the 2.5 billion people that live less than $2 a day. But we must be more creative about how to do it. The MCC had a very unique model for partnering with developing countries for reducing poverty. I'll explain more about that later. But I want to emphasize the word partnership and how important that word is to effectiveness, whether it is partnering with the private sector, other government development agencies, NGOs, or foundations, or in particular with the diaspora communities. Strategic alliances with non-government change makers is critical to leverage U.S. investments in development. You have a very special perspective on the opportunities and challenges facing your countries of birth. You have a passion to make a difference, that when combined with the efforts of thousands like you, can transform a nation. You know what real partnerships mean. Not just partnership for partnership's sake, but mutual ownership and mutual accountability and a common cause. You also know that the linkages we create by investing in the emerging markets from which many of us immigrated are not just cultural, they are economic. And these critical economic ties will not only help our birthplaces grow, they also will help develop the next marketplaces for American investment that would help our adopted country as well. At the same time, we have a role to play in ensuring that economic growth happens in a sustainable way. Which then leads me to the next conversation of who is the Millennium Challenge Corporation, how is MCC engaged to remove the constraint to economic growth in our partner countries, and how can you, the diaspora community, play a role in partnering with us and leveraging MCC's investment in our partner countries. You all know USAID. They've been around for 50 years. I believe my very good friend Rasha was here earlier this week to talk to you about USAID. They do an outstanding job serving U.S. government's interest. MCC is new, created 7 years ago with the support of Republicans and Democrats in Congress. It was created based on the best practices learned from other development agencies around the world in the last 50 years. We have a very specific mission, which is to reduce poverty through long-term economic growth. We're governed by a board of directors chaired by Secretary of State Clinton. Our model is all about selectivity and country ownership. We choose partner countries that are poor but well-governed, yet constrained by the lack of opportunity for their citizens. Our model is based on the premise that aid is more effective when you work with countries that are accountable for their citizens. We're all about country ownership. Ladies and gentlemen, we have no sector requirements. We have no earmarks. Once countries are selected for our program, they themselves are responsible for the constraint analysis through a very thorough consultation processes with their constituencies, businesses, NGOs, civil society, government. And they themselves are responsible for design and development of the programs. And they themselves are responsible for the implementation. We only have 2 people on the ground. This helps build capacity in our partner countries. We're all about business development. When I say by that is our approach to development is like a business. We invest in those projects that are both a priority to our partner countries and have a solid economic rate of return. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what makes MCC much different than any other agencies. We invest on those projects, again, that are priorities for our countries, but those are expected to produce the best results. We say no to those projects that might be very popular with our partner countries, but that do not meet our investment criteria. So we have a lot of flexibility. We monitor and evaluate our investments to make sure that they are producing the desired results. We start by picking a small group of high-performing countries. Our investments are for 5 years and are not tied aid. By going global, we save anywhere from 20 to 25% for the American taxpayer. Our average grant is about $430 million. Our $8 billion investments are expected to generate about $12.5 billion for our partner countries. We only work with 22 different countries worldwide. 70% of our investment are centered in infrastructure, agriculture, and energy. key and vital areas for trade investment-related activities. We are transparent at every step of our operations. This might be dangerous in this town because you have to tell the good and the bad, all right? Everybody wants to hear about the good, all right? But it's okay. And we expect for our partners to do the same. We are an integral player in the Obama administration. Last year, the President unveiled a new global development policy. The President's development agenda incorporates and builds upon many of the principles that MCC has been perfecting over the last 7 years. Our distinctive approach to development has produced promising results for our partner countries. I believe that MCC's ability to produce and track strong results is due to the priorities we have laid out. First, our emphasis on results. MCC has a system to measure and report the results of our work that is more rigorous than anything attempted before. Ladies and gentlemen, most development agencies around the world, when they talk about results, it's number of kilometers of new roads completed, number of farmers trained, or number of schools that have been completed in the past years. For us, when we talk about results, it is the investment's ability to increase our partners' income. That's what makes it very different and unique from any other development agencies. We track it, we monitor it, and we produce it. We do this because we want a clear picture of how our efforts have improved the incomes of the poor. This helps us stay relevant and on the cutting edge of development. Second, our emphasis on partnerships. Ladies and gentlemen, in today's environment, we work in a real constrained budget environment. So we try to leverage our investments by partnering with the private sector, NGOs, other foundations to make sure that we are deploying American tax dollar funds effectively and efficiently to make sure that we are making the biggest impact on the resources that we have. Third, our emphasis on policy reform. MCC requires major policy reform on the part of our partner countries. This helps create the conditions for citizens in the private sector to flourish and puts our partner countries on the path for self-sufficiency, replacing aid with investment from the private sector. Finally, our emphasis on gender. MCC integrates gender decisions to all of our projects, from constraint analysis to project design and development to implementation. Ladies and gentlemen, unless we have both men and women as equal champions of the development, it will be extremely difficult to bring about prosperity to our partner countries. So we put a lot of emphasis on gender integration. These priorities are helping MCC lay the foundation for economic growth in countries worldwide. For example, I want to talk to you about Honduras. Anybody from Honduras in this audience? No one? Good, but let me talk about Honduras, since they were the first country to have completed their MCC compact last year. Despite 3 different presidential administrations, and despite major political crises, our compact in Honduras was completed on time and on budget within 5 years. Why? Because it was not owned by a particular president or prime minister. It was collectively owned by the people. It was them that identified those projects, and they monitored and followed those projects from the beginning to the end to make sure they are being completed. Ladies and gentlemen, our $205 million investments in Honduras were invested in agriculture, was invested in infrastructure, where we trained about 7,000 farmers, the use of modern technology, businesses, and marketing skills. Today, those MCC-trained farmers have doubled their income. Again, this is based on early data. Of course, we're waiting to get confirmation from independent sources, but they increased their income from $2,000 per hectare to about $4,000 per hectare. And goes who is the largest buyer of their produce? An American company, Walmart. All right? So it's good for the Hondurans, it's good for the American companies, and everybody's making money. Many of the farmers, in fact, I met women farmers, they never plowed a field in their life until they were trained by the Millennium Challenge Corporation. Today, those women farmers are growing herbs, fruits, and vegetables, commanding a better life for themselves, for their communities, and for their countries. In addition to our investments, the Honduran government complemented our construction investment, primarily in roads, by setting aside approximately $75 million for road maintenance fee. Ladies and gentlemen, we want the roads that we built to be sustainable for a long time. In every country we go to, unless the government commits to set aside additional funds for road maintenance fee, we just don't do it. All right? And also, in Honduras, they made a number of policy reforms. What comes to my mind is they reformed the country's secure transaction law and created a movable property registration system. What does it mean? What that means is, previously, if you want to get a loan from the bank, you have to be a real estate owner. If you did not have any real estate, guess what? You were not qualified, all right? But because we work with them, all right, they created a different policy in the financial sector area. Today, borrowers have better access to credit and receive better terms. For Honduras, this also means greater financial inclusion and commercial growth. Together, this creates an environment that will encourage investment and economic growth both in the country and in the region. The goal of these activities is to make our partner countries better places to live and for families to thrive. We've had now 4 countries that have completed their compacts with us. In fact, it would take me the whole day to tell you a story, the success story of about every single country. But I'm not going to do that because you could go to our website, www.mcc.gov. You could see it. But let me highlight 2 countries. One is Cape Verde. Right? Cape Verde invested. Anybody from Cape Verde? I love you. I've been there twice already in the last 12 months. All right? And what was amazing about the country is, you know, it used to take approximately 67 days to get a new license to start your business. Today in Cape Verde, you could get it in less than 1 hour. All right? So let's give them a big hand. They have created the best environment for businesses to thrive. And I was really amazed and complimented by what has been accomplished. In fact, through our e-government processes, you could even get your birth certificate, a death certificate from home without coming to the municipalities. Here, if I want to get my kids' records, I have to go to the municipality. There you could get it from home. So it's just another remarkable thing what they have done. Anybody from Georgia? Georgia. Where? Hold on. Georgia, former Soviet Republic. Georgia was there a couple months ago, and the compact just ended in Georgia about a month ago, formally. But a year and a half ago, Georgia was ranked 120th place in the world for ease of doing business. Today, Georgia is ranked number 12 in the world. All right? And they have done more than any other country in the world to fight corruption. All right? So they just created this environment for businesses that could thrive. So we're very proud for what they have accomplished. Now, when I travel to our MCC partner countries, which I've done, I've been to El Salvador, I've been to Honduras, I've been to Cape Verde, Georgia, Armenia. It's a blessing. And I see houses built by the Diaspora group. Some are occupied, some are empty. In many cases, these investments and remittances represent commendable efforts by the diaspora community to give back. In fact, when I was in Armenia last week, I was told by the president that Armenia received anywhere from $2 to $3 billion in remittances on a yearly basis, more income than what the country sells to the outside world. It's just remarkable. What I do not see as much are efforts by the diaspora community to create economic opportunities in their home countries. I'm talking about building, manufacturing, or companies that could employ a lot of people. But I believe there is ample space for that. And I know with creativity and determination, diaspora communities are in a powerful position to affect change. Which leads me to the next critical question. How can MCC leverage its investments by partnering with the diaspora community? Let me mention 3 examples of how we can work together. As an organization that values open discussion and innovative ideas, we are eager to engage with you. First, the primary way to help us create sustainable economic growth is to follow our investments. MCC projects are designed to remove constraints to investments and promote economic growth. Many of the countries we work with are building ports, like it is the case in Cape Verde, roads, bridges, airports, irrigation infrastructures, investments in water resources, helping some of the countries become water secure, in electricity, as is the case in Malawi and Tanzania, to help those countries become energy secure. And more than that, our partner countries are committed to building a better business environment through significant policy reform that will create better investment opportunities. No one is better positioned to profit from this and to keep the economic momentum going than you are. We're not talking about handouts or charity. We're talking about investments in business opportunities. And these opportunities will provide a real return to diaspora investors, their families, their communities, their home countries, and the United States, because they will expand trade and investment-related activities. Ladies and gentlemen, I spent about 30 years in banking and investments. Investment is a risky business, all right? Risky business here at home if you don't do your homework, all right? It's a risky business overseas if you do not do your homework. However, we have created the infrastructures. We have created the environments working with our partner countries. These countries are ripe for investments. And I want you to take opportunities for those investments and create sustainable economic growth by helping create jobs. And that would also cut down the remittances that goes on a monthly basis. So, ladies and gentlemen, tremendous opportunities. A second opportunity for MCC and you to work together relates to business we generate through program procurements. MCC funds projects that generates bids worth more than $1 billion annually. Many of them in construction, agriculture, and energy, and engineering. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another opportunity. You could make money, You could create jobs here at home. This also gives you the opportunity to work in your old countries, building many of the projects maybe you once envisioned. So this is a tremendous opportunity for all of us. Third, you could get involved in a program what's known as Invitation to Innovate, where we are looking to get ideas, suggestions from individuals, businesses, corporations, nonprofit foundations, and so forth, how we might be able to improve our processes, whether it be a new approach in development, whether it be a new approach in science and technology, but we are soliciting new ways of doing business to complement our investments in many of our partner countries. These are just examples that I gave you today. I'm sure there are a lot that we could do together. But we recognize, though, you are the critical part in development. So we'll continue to expand and reach out to you in the coming months and years. Our mission is to empower the billions who live in poverty around the world with new opportunities to build a better future. You are in a unique position, and you have a power to effect change in the countries of your birth. So while today is the first conversation for many of us, I hope this would not be the last. Global poverty is a strong-willed opponent, and we have a lot of work to do. But if we do it together, I'm confident that we can promote prosperity and opportunity for all. So thank you very much, and I'll be more than happy to take your action. Thank you. Thank you, please. Yeah, I'll take some questions.
Can we, do we have any, maybe we have time for a couple questions? This gentleman here. And if you could identify yourself, I think you could use the mic. Very crowded.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Lamine Savadogo with Marathon Energy Systems in Massachusetts. We saluted the creation of a Millennium Challenge Corporation, particularly your selection criteria for countries. However, once you selected your countries, we checked your criteria initially against some of the countries we found. We found a lot of contradictions. In fact, I've asked a lot of diplomats, how come this country could qualify, particularly knowing, now that we know, what kind of cables were coming from the State Department through WikiLeaks about some of these countries. Huh? All right. So my question is, those selection criteria, are they based on the potential for good governance or actual good governance? The second question is, you say to generate business for American businesses. You see the Chinese companies, construction companies, are winning these contracts. Not only American companies are not winning, they are beating local companies also, weakening those companies to bid on civil works. So what are your answers to those questions? Thank you.
Good. Great, that's a great question. I think the first question, we use 17 different policy indicators that are all centered in good governance, economic freedom, and investing in people. They're very transparent, right? Countries must pass those indicators in order to qualify a program. So it's posted, there's nothing secret about it. And in addition to those 17 different policy indicators, we also gather other information. So, countries know whether they have done a good job in terms of passing those indicators or not. That's very transparent, all right? Now, let me tell you what happens. A country is selected as a low-income country, and after a year, the country is now graduated to LMIC, okay, low middle-income country, all right? So suddenly, after 1 year, they find themselves competing with LMIC. So sometimes they may not pass some of the indicators, so that's where we need to get involved and work with them through policy performance program. But otherwise, It's very transparent. We have not had any country that get into our program without passing the indicators. Now, for the procurements, we want American companies to win. American companies are winning the majority of the contracts. And that's why I'm speaking to you today. There are a lot of opportunities for you. And you've been here for some time. You do have connections with the business community. You do have a lot of involvement with the diaspora community here. You guys know the region better than anybody else. All right? So, especially in some of those projects, particularly that relates to construction, we want more American companies to get involved, especially in the continent of Africa. Even though there's some Chinese companies that are winning, guess what? About 90 to 95% of the subcontractors are Africans themselves.
One more question. Right here.
Hello. Thank you for speaking to our forum today. I just wanted to ask, I know that there's some effort made to ensure that the projects that are submitted by the country have a the effect and the impact is distributed across. But is there any effort made to be attentive on the part of MCC to be attentive to ensuring that the impact of a project doesn't exacerbate any exclusions or tensions that might exist between groups within a country? Do you ever, are there methods of checking for that or pushing back with some suggestions to ensure that, if it's an infrastructure project, it doesn't just block out the minority part that, I'm not thinking of a specific example, but yeah, there are plenty. Thank you.
Thank you. That's why we do a very thorough recommendation when we work with countries to do a thorough consultation processes with their civil society, with NGOs and businesses early on. So that becomes an ownership issue which is owned by the whole country as well. That's why I just talk about Honduras. The programs were completed on time, on budget within 5 years. Georgia's compact was completed within 5 years, even though we don't extend beyond 5 years in our program, but they were completed on time. And it was their program. That's why the model of country ownership is so powerful, because it's not decided by one sector or by one group. It's all decided based on the consultation process that involve the whole constituencies of that country. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.